Hello and welcome to COP 4708. In this session we are going to address managing database with Oracle. We did install it. We know now how to create a user, how to create a workspace for us to work with. So we have the sys user, which is the administrator, and we have the other user that you created, whether your name or under any other name. So we have a user that we can use or utilize to install and create our database. So the way to do it in the last session was to implement the code. We implemented the code through writing SQL code, went to the command prompt in Express Edition, and from the command we started running the code and inserting the creating the table, inserting the data, inserting constraints, and manipulating the database as we need. And we did all that using the code that we learned how to do through SQL. Now there is another route. Since we have Oracle interface, instead of using the code, we can actually manage the database using the Oracle interface, and this is the difference between the last session and this session. So this session will explain how to manage the database, or how to create all what we did without using the code, just using the Oracle user interface. I will go in the first few slides. I will go over again, how to log in, and if you want to create a new user or use the existing user, and then after that we start working with Oracle. And we stated before that we are using Oracle because it's very popular. It's been used by lots of companies right now. It's very powerful and efficient. It can run on many different operating systems. It has many editions: Personal Edition, Express Edition, Standard Edition, and Professional Edition. So you can download the version that will work with you or is suitable for you. And then it has lots of tools and techniques that you can use or utilize to manage your database. Some of the utilities or some of the tools that exist in Oracle is the SQL Plus and the Oracle Developer, where you can actually create, not only use the code to create your tables, but also you can use the Interform to create the user interface, to create forms, and to create reports. We said that to start with Oracle, we click on the Application Express on the main page, or you have an icon. We go to Start All Programs Oracle, or you click on the icon and you start the main page. Then you click on Application Express. The Application Express will take you to the login screen. The login screen, use the username sys, which is the system administrator, and the password, whatever you used during the installation of Oracle. Once you get in, you can either create a new user with a new workspace, or you can use existing workspace that you created before if you did log in to the system, and if you had the chance to play with it a little bit. I'm using here an existing account, which is COP 4708. So I use that. I opened the account, my workspace, and I would like to now start managing the data using this interface. In the interface, we have the application builder, we have the SQL workshop, we have team development, we have administration, and we have the same tabs on the top. So either you use the icons that exist here or the tabs that up top here, both of them will lead to the same areas. So for example, if we click on the SQL workshop and we click on browse or object browser, we will see that on the side here we have a menu. This menu, one of them is create object, and it will give me the different objects that I can create within the database. One of them, or the first one, is table. So if I click on create table from the menu here, I can start creating a table. I can put the table name and the different columns, then assign the primary key, foreign key, constraints, and confirm the creation of the table. I will go back to this slide in a minute, but let's go back here. Now I have another way to create that. I can also click on the workshop here on the top and create table from there. I can go to the object browser itself, and there will be within the table, once I click on the table, I will have create on the side, and I can create the table that I need. So there are more than one option that you can get to the same area, which is creating a table. You can explore the different options or different methods, but all of them, like I said, whether you use the tab on the top or you use this one, both of them should lead you to the same area, which is creating a new table. So as we said here, we are going to go to the website, go to Oracle, and start working on creating that table. So I'm getting started with Oracle. I will click on the Express, Application Express. Then I will use sys, and I will click on the already have an account, log in here, and as you can see I have the COP 4708 that's being created as a user. So I will go to that workspace, and once I get into the screen, I can like I said, click on workshop, and I have under that create table object on the side, or I can click on the object browser and I have create on the side here, and I can say create table, or I can just click on the arrow and it will give me table. So I can say create table and it will give me the same options. Whether you want to go this route or you want to go the other route, it doesn't matter. Both of them will lead to the same area. Now let's start entering the data that we need. So I will add a column, and that's called artist ID, and that should be a number with precision 38 and scale of 1, and should not be null. Then I will put name, and in my case here, I put the artist name. I didn't put first name, last name. You can break it down as you want. You can put first name, last name. It's up to you. It's a matter of preference for the database administrator or database creator or developer. In this case, I will use I can use variable character, and I can make it 25 and also not null. Then I can use, or I can create the column called nationality, and that's also will be a variable character. For the name, we can make it character, it's fine. Variable character with length of 30, and the nationality can be null if we don't know the nationality of the person or the artist that made the work. And then we have birth date, and I'll do that for now as a number with precision of 4 and scale of 0, and it's not null. Then deceased date, and like I said, for now I'll do it number 4 and 0, and it could be allowed null because I might not know the date that the artist died or was deceased. So now with this, with these columns I've already created, I can now move forward to the primary key and select my primary key. I need to name the table. I will name it as artist table. And now I'll go to next, which is primary key. So I can do not populated for now because I don't have a new sequence or an existing sequence. So let's leave it as none or not populated, and then we'll continue later on. So the primary key will be the artist ID. This is my primary key, and it's not composite primary key. So far I didn't add any foreign keys, but later on we can add if we need foreign keys. The next step is to add constraints. So I can go to constraints and I can choose between check and unique, and once I choose, then I can start adding these constraints. The name of the constraint is created automatically. If you need to change it, you can, but it's up to you. I mean, you can leave it as artist underscore check 1 check 2. It will create it automatically. One of the things that we can add is to create a constraint to check if the nationality of the artist within certain nationalities that I can specify. So I can write the code. I will start with the first one, which is artist check 1, and we'll say that we want nationality in Canadian, comma, English, comma, French, German, Mexican, Russian, Spanish, and US. Remember to close the brackets that we started. We have the first one that's before nationality, and then the first one before those nationalities or the listing of nationalities. So I did close both of them and said add, and the constraints or the constraint has been added. Then I can add another one, which is check 2, and I can say that birth date less than deceased date, and that will be my second constraint. Then I will do as birth date greater than 1000, and less than 2100. Then add, and the fourth constraint will be deceased name or deceased date is greater than 1000, and less than 2100. You have to make sure of the spelling of the words that matches the columns. Most of the time, if you have that not mismatch, it will generate for you an error. So always when you create your constraints, make sure to match the constraints wording with the column spelling or wording. So we created 4 constraints of check, and I can create another one for unique, which is the name. I will make the name as unique, and then add, and the name is unique. Again, you know, just trying to show you the way that you can create the constraints and the columns. And as you can see, the SQL code has been created for me for the table that is named artist. So I have created a table that's artist with the columns artist ID, name, nationality, birthday, deceased date, and I have the following constraints. I have first the primary key, then I altered the table to add my other constraints that I added, including the unique. So all that has been created, and I can click on create, and that will create for me the table artist with the constraints. If you click on the different tabs on the top, you can add a column, you can modify a column, rename, you can drop a column, delete that column, you can rename the table, you can drop the table, you can copy the table into different database, and you can create a lookup table for that. In addition, you can see that you will be able to add data if you need. So you can insert a row. Once you click on the data, you can insert a row. You can count the number of rows if you need. you can make a query. Also, you can see the constraints that you wrote if you want. And again, you can click on the SQL code, and that will give you the code for that table. So all what we learned in creating that with the code, now we can create it with the user interface, which is faster and more efficient to use than creating the code. But that doesn't mean that I cannot learn how to do the code, because the code will give me ability to customize my table to add more flexibility, more efficiency if needed when I write the code myself. And when you have more of a SQL code, then actually that will assist you in linking the different tables together and creating the proper relationship. That doesn't mean that the user interface is not good or it's bad, but it's for a developer, it's better to write the code. For other people, they would prefer using the user interface. As an exercise for you, you can click on the tabs that I was showing you for adding a column, renaming the column, modifying the data type, and dropping that column. You can use this exercise to train yourself on how to do that using the interface, Oracle interface database management system. Now let's go back to the data and click on insert row and see how we can do that. Now for the artist ID, I will put artist ID as 3. I will put the name as Miro and the nationality as Spanish. Birth date is 1870 and deceased date is 1950. Then create another, so that will add one row and clear the this form for me to add more. So I will create another one, and that is number 4, and the name is Kandinsky, and that is Russian. Birth date is 1854, that's the birth date, and the deceased date is 1900. Create and another 5. Name is Friends from the US, 1950, and I don't have a deceased date, so I will say create and look at the information. So I created only 3. You can practice adding more. I already have it in the slides. When you look at the slides, you can add as many as you want, but you understand the concept of inserting the data in the table. We add those data or the data points within the form that is provided by the database management system. As an exercise for you, you can practice creating a work table using the information provided in this slide. So we have the columns, work ID, title, description, copy, and artist ID will be added here. Artist ID will be added as a foreign key in the work table. Now remember that I need to connect the work table with the artist table. That's how I do it, through a foreign key. That's why I'm adding that column here. Okay, so don't forget to do that. And you will assign a primary key, you will assign a foreign key to connect the two tables, and you will add constraints for the title and copy to be unique. Title and copy to be unique. Then you need to insert the data that I provided here in this slide. You should be able to see the work table as shown in this slide, and you will be able to, when you click on the model, you will be able to see the connection between the artist and the work. This is the database model that's been provided by Oracle. I can also create a view. So when I click on the arrow here, create, and click on view, I will have the view. Then I will write artist name view, and then I will write the query that I need. The SQL code will be select name as artist name from the artist table, and then I will say next, and you can see that this is the statement to create the artist view and to have the artist name column created, and I have the name from the original table artist displayed in this one. So I will say create, and it will create the view for me. Now to look at the view, all what I need is to click on data, and it will show me data. All what I asked for is artist name, so it listed for me the artist name that I already added, and I added only 3. That's why it's showing that. And as you can see, it's even it is organized, or the data has been listed alphabetically, so I don't need even to worry about the alphabets. If I'm looking for a certain name, then I can find it within the list very easily. So I can list just the names and know the name of the artist by creating a view to do that. So what we did so far, we created a table through the interface, and we added the data, we inserted the data manually. Now what if I have the data already exist in an Excel sheet or a text file or XML file? Can I import it to Oracle instead of doing all that work? Yes, we can. Exactly the same as we did with Access. I can do the same with Oracle, and I can import all the information that's coming from an Excel sheet or a text file. So all what we need to do is to click on utilities here, or from workshop. When you click on workshop, you have utilities. So whatever route you want, you can click on utilities, and you will see that we have a data workshop. Click on the data workshop, and you have either text, XML, or spreadsheet. When you click on the spreadsheet data, it will tell you, do you want to load the information that you are getting in a new table or existing table? So you choose to have it in a new table, and then it's telling you, do you want it to copy and paste? Do you want the process to be copy and paste or to upload? You say, I want to upload the file with comma separated or a tab delimited, and then we click on next. We browse, get to our file, which is called customer table, open. I will leave it as comma. If I have tab, then I will put the tab, but here it's comma, and then I will click on next, and did I select the right one? Let's go back, upload, and next, browse. Oh, this is the XLS. If it is in Excel, it will not import properly, so we need to get it in CSV. So I can actually get it from CSV and click next, and I have the table imported. So again, you know, the most important point here that I forgot to mention is for the Excel sheet to be saved as a CSV file, and once you have it as CSV, you can import it without any problem. CSV means comma delimited file. That's why it imported correctly this time. And as you can see, we have the rows, different rows. We have the IDs, customer ID, the name, the street, the city, the state, and the zip code. It's already being created. So we have the columns being created. I can change the type if I need. For example, for the zip code, if I need to change it from variable char to number, I can do that. We can make it a number, and so on. So it depends on the changes that we would like to make, but it's already been imported, and I don't have to worry about, you know, writing or inserting the data in that table. So I have the new table, which is called customer, and I will add customer. Sometimes we have the customer table already in the database, the Oracle database, order table already in the database. So to make it different, we'll name it as customer table, and then we'll say next. We can assign the primary key for that one. The new primary key is the ID, and load data, and we have the customer table already in the database. So we did import data, and that's another way to do it, either like we said, creating the table through the Oracle interface, or by importing the CSV file into Oracle. One of the other things that we will benefit from once we go to utilities, I will go back to utilities here. So click on this one to go back to utilities, is the object report. So we can get report about the database. We can get reports about the database. For example, I can check the table columns, the different columns. So it will tell me that I have these type of columns, and I can, instead of, you know, getting all the tables that's listed in the database, I can just ask for the artist table and say go, and it will tell me what kind of tables, what kind of columns, I'm sorry, what kind of columns do I have in the artist. Or I can say the customer table, and it will provide me with the columns that exist. So I can filter it using the artist customer table, and it will list for me all the columns that exist in the customer table. This kind of report will assist in database administration, so you will know if you need to add a new column or delete a new column. You will know what kind of columns exist in the database or in that table. That will be all for this session. If you have any questions, you can email it to me, and I will be more than glad to address it. Thank you and have a great day.